Welcome to Module 1, Lesson 1 of the Health Unveiled course. If you're here, I'm glad you're here, and you're probably doing some digging, which is a good thing, okay? I did my best to compress a little over a century of history into a Part 1 and Part 2 here, but just know that it's important that we start here. You will see why I've called this course Health Unveiled. That will all come to light as we proceed. So without further ado, Part 1, medical monopoly, medical cult, medical cartel, or all of the above. Let's start with a question. If a system kills more than 250,000 people per year, do we trust that system? Probably not, right? But that's the real number of Americans that die every year from medical error. It is officially the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer. Now, the question becomes, is it a system designed to heal or a business designed to profit, even at the cost of human life? Let's keep going. Today's main objective is to expose the $4.5 trillion per year medical system in America. Yes, you heard me correctly, $4.5 trillion per year. It's a system designed not to heal you, but to manage symptoms, repeat visits, and maximize profits. It's got a great business model, I'll hand it to them. Revolving door business model. A lot of lifelong customers, very expensive hospital bills. Many of us know how this goes. But I want to make something very clear, because there are a lot of good-hearted, brilliant people in the system. Doctors, nurses, surgeons. I'm not talking about them today. I'm talking about the framework that they're operating out of. The system itself, the education that goes into supporting it. Okay? And another important thing to mention is that if you get hit by a car, you need emergency medicine. That's not up for debate. Okay? The issue is that we have taken life-saving tools and have turned them into lifestyle crutches. A pill for every ill, a surgery for every chronic discomfort. This is a big problem with even bigger consequences. And it's very unfortunate that our healthcare system encourages this kind of behavior, this sort of approach, right? So I like to say that you will know a tree by its fruit. So let us now examine some of the fruit of the modern medical system. And I'd like to start with a quote by journalist Brian Lamb. He once said that there was a book that changed his life once he read it. And that book was called Blind Spots, When Medicine Gets It Wrong, by Dr. Marty Makary, a Johns Hopkins professor who published over 300 scientific articles. In the book, Makary says a lot of what we call medicine is actually dogma. Dogma are ideas that are accepted as truth without scientific proof, often based on authority or gut feeling. So that's not science, it's belief. It's even preference. Later, Makary is quoted saying, "We have a public health crisis hiding in plain sight." So why would he say something like that, right? He would say something like that because according to the data, 250,000 people die every year from avoidable medical mistakes. And some reports show that it's actually closer to 440,000. But many of the deaths go unrecorded due to system failures and poor documentation. But that's almost 500,000 people. Let that sink in. Medical error is the third leading cause of death in the U.S. The next logical question that you might be asking yourself is, what is killing people, right? So I can give you 3 good answers, but just know that there are more than 3. Number 1, a big contributor is adverse drug reactions, otherwise known as ADRs. These are the side effects from pharmaceuticals that end up being worse than the condition they're trying to treat. How about that? And the tricky thing here is that the term itself, side effect, is a misnomer. It is medical misspeak. It's a term used to minimize the harsh reality that when you take pharmaceuticals, there are often negative effects that sometimes are lethal, and these effects are direct, not something that can be brushed off to the side, like the name suggests. So let's move on to number 2 here. Hospital-acquired infections. All right? These come as a direct result of over-sterilization and chemical exposure inside of hospitals. We have been conditioned to be so afraid of the germ. Excuse the mouse here. All right? Germ theory prevails, and we misunderstand that topic, and hospitals are very religious about their cleaning products, and the harsh chemicals that are in the cleaning products are what actually cause the infections and sometimes lead to death. So we will get into germ theory in another video, but let's move on to number 3. Surgeries, or rather unnecessary surgeries. This is a big one. Let's talk about it. Professor Ian Harris, a surgeon and author of the book Surgery, The Ultimate Placebo, says that many procedures are performed without strong scientific backing. Many surgeries get done not because they're necessary, but because it's tradition, or there's a lot of financial incentive, or there's been anecdotal success, right? Now, Professor Ian Harris, let's get over here. Professor Ian Harris makes the point in his book that the placebo effect is often what makes the surgery seem successful. But in many cases, people would have healed naturally if they were properly educated on all the holistic solutions that exist. And despite placebo, all surgeries still leave leftover scar tissue and adhesions, and that creates stagnation, which eventually leads to more problems downstream. That's important to remember. Surgery comes always with a large cost. Now, I could have started this entire presentation by hitting you with these stats here. Number 1, the U.S. spends more on health care per person than any other country, but ranks the lowest or very low on health outcomes. Number 2, nearly 3 out of 4 adults in America are overweight or obese. Number 3, 66% of U.S. adults are on prescription medications. And number 4, 129 million Americans, that's roughly 40% of the country, have at least one chronic disease, and many have multiple. Okay, so this is where we're at as a country, possibly sicker than we've ever been before. But I didn't want to start with these stats because I knew that people would say, hey, that's not the medical system's fault, it's our culture or our diet or our choices. And while yes, I believe in health sovereignty and I think that we need to be in charge of all that, this is not what I'm touching on today, because the fact remains that 250,000 people die or more every year from medical error alone. So this is a system failure, right? You can't blame lifestyle for that. You can't say fast food made a surgery go wrong. You can't say Netflix caused a drug reaction. How did we even get here, though? How did we get to a system that is supposed to heal but actually ends up harming? And that's what part 2 will be about. Because in order to understand this, we have to go back. We have to go back to the early 1900s, to Rockefeller, Carnegie, Flexner, the AMA, the Council on Medical Education, the snake oil salesman, germ theory, the allopaths, the real quacks, occult origins, big pharma, treat the symptom. And I'll end with saying that if you want to know why the fruit is rotten, you have to understand the seeds that were planted. Part 2 will uncover those buried truths. I will see you there.